And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Sutter's Mill is a game that contains what I think is an interesting theme. The idea of going out and finding gold and the whole ghost town type atmosphere, I find a good theme. The ideas within the game itself are very interesting. As the game goes by, you're taking most of the game in a build-up phase, but near the end, you'll then tear down and you're trying to get out of town as quickly as possible. That with some mechanics of mining for gold, I really like it, and the game itself I thought was pretty good. However, it would only be fair to tell you that of the folks that I played the game with, I'm the only person who enjoyed it much at all. I'm not sure why. It just seems like it should work. I I have a pretty decent enjoyment of it. But why other people don't like it? They said I think maybe it comes down to the fact that they just weren't sure what to do most of the time. The game basically revolves around these prospectors and the different things that you'll do with them. On a player's turn, they have two different things that they can do. They can either operate in town or they can mine with their prospectors. When mining with their prospectors, they do it in the current place where mining is occurring. For example, in the beginning of the game, it starts in the stream, but once all this stream gold is gone, then it will take place up here and then later on move over to the mountains. But when you're mining for gold, you simply move your prospectors out of this area, and you can move them to any building in town, and there's several buildings in town. And for each one, you will get to take one of these gold pieces. You start with a little bit of gold, but this is how you get more gold. And here I got lucky, I got a 3, but then I also got a 1. 4 gold for moving those two people out. If you control any building in town, and you have the card to prove it, you will also get 1 token for each building you control. And whoever controls the fewest buildings has this adventurer card, and that person will also get plus 1 gold. There's also a few other ways to get extra gold, but that's basically how you get the money in the game. Operating in town is a bit of a different story. Operating in town basically means you are trying to take control of the different buildings. Players have several actions that they can take on their turn, and you can see here that if you take one action, it's free, but once you start taking more than one action, it will cost you money. In fact, if you take 5 actions, it costs you 15. What are the different actions you can do? Well, if you haven't put all your prospectors on the board yet, you can put one on one of the buildings, or you can move him to one of the camps that are available on the board. And that's another action you can take, is simply moving your prospectors around. That costs an action. Another action that you can take is by playing an influence card. If you have a prospector in a building, each player starts with a full deck of cards in their color that go from the ace to the king, from a standard playing deck of cards. They can play one of these cards in a building. When they do so, they must have the piece of their color, this is a red card, they must have a piece of their color in that building. If they want to play a second card in that building later on, they would need to have 2 prospectors of their color in that building to be able to play the second card, and you would need 3 to play the third card, and so on and so forth. You would obviously need 5 to play all 5 cards. I've never seen anyone do that. Whoever has the current highest total, for example, red here has 18 points, even if blue put in a 6 and a 9 later on, that's 15. Red still would control the old fellow's hall here, which will give them a special ability. Each building gives different abilities. Some let you put down cards for free, some let you mine in different areas, and a few let you change the order of cards, because the order of cards is important. And that's basically how the game will take place. You'll be putting prospectors in, taking control of buildings, and mining. Somewhere along the line, though, during the game, and each player decides for himself, a player will take their card, and instead of building up, they will decide to tear down. No longer will they be able to add any cards to the town, although they will be able to still mine for gold if they wish, but now they will be taking cards off. And you can take off cards of other people's colors, because at the end of the game, you're going to get points equal to the cards that you've put down, the value of them, as long as you pull them off. If you don't pull them off, you'll lose points. You'll get points equal to the gold that you get. You get points for each prospector, or actually you lose points for prospectors if you don't get them off the board. And so you have to basically try and make sure you get as much stuff off the board, but you probably won't get everything off the board, because if you get your stuff off quickly, you might as well end the game so that other people lose more points. To me, that's an interesting way to play the game. You put down the king card at a building, there's a good chance you'll control it, but if you don't get that king card off the board, you're going to lose 13 points But if you do get it off the board, you will gain 13 points. You have lots of gold that you'll get during the course of the game. Spend it because you need to take actions, but if you don't spend all of it, you'll use the extra gold to get you points. And so the game is basically almost kind of a game of chicken in a sense, as you're building and taking, and then you have to decide when to start tearing down. If you decide to start tearing down too early, you'll pull off and everyone else will continue mining and having a good time. If you decide to pull off too late, you might not get everything off the board. And so I think everything fits together very well. Sometimes it's hard to know what to do or to know which building gives the best special abilities, and I think that might be the hang-up that people have, the idea of moving prospectors around. I think the theme fits the game well. The idea of going, these towns were built up quickly, and then they were taken down just as quickly, or people deserted them quickly, and lots of people lost money. I don't know why people don't like it. Maybe it's because you don't know what to do. Maybe it's because they're just it seems to move slowly. If you're afraid to spend gold for extra actions, taking one action per turn can go slowly. I honestly don't know. Even for myself, I thought it was a good game. I didn't think there was anything great here. I like the theme. I like it. It just seems to be lacking that magical oomph. I'm not sure what it is. But if you're looking for a game about the gold rush, if you're looking for a game that has this two halves of the game where you build up and then tear down, that is unique here. And so I would at least recommend trying it out before you buy it.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.